Aloha and good afternoon. Welcome to This Is Now. Authorities are responding after reports of bomb threats at Honolulu District Court and the Kapolei District Courthouse today.
Yeah, witnesses say people were evacuated from the buildings as a precaution. Now, the Honolulu Fire Department and other first responders are on scene. This comes after the Department of Law Enforcement said a mass email threat triggered evacuations for multiple state capitol buildings across the country, including in Hawaii yesterday. In that incident, officials said several members of the Hawaii State Senate received an email threat at around 6:20 a.m. The email claimed explosives were placed at the Capitol building, but no explosive device or material was found. So far, officials have not said whether these incidents are related. H&N has reached out to authorities for more information.
Speaking of threats to courthouses, we turn now to a wild attack that was caught on camera in a Las Vegas courtroom. The defendant was being sentenced when he leapt over the bench and went after the female judge. Liz Krutz has more on what happened and the security concerns this raises.
This is the shocking moment a man attacked a Las Vegas judge in her own courtroom. Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus was in the middle of sentencing 30-year-old Deobra Redden to prison for attempted battery for substantial bodily harm when he unexpectedly jumped over both the defense table and judge's bench and tackled her. Court officials and attorneys jumping to the judge's aid. All of it caught on this courtroom video.
Is she okay?
A court marshal appearing injured as officers eventually subdue the defendant while helping the judge get back to her feet before escorting her out. The terrifying attack, just the latest security scare for judges nationwide. Last year, a man shot and killed a state judge at his home in Maryland after the judge ruled against him in a child custody case. While in 2020, there was a horrifying attack in New Jersey, where a disgruntled lawyer targeted federal judge Esther Salas, showing up at her home, shooting her husband multiple times, and killing her 20-year-old son. Judge Salas told Savannah about her efforts to help better protect the personal information of judges in a law named after her son Daniel that has since been passed.
What are you hoping will happen now?
What I'm hoping will happen now is that we will expand these protections nationwide. This is a matter of life or death.
Wednesday's incident now raising new questions about security in courtrooms. In a statement, the Las Vegas court saying, "We are reviewing all our protocols and will do whatever is necessary to protect the judiciary, the public, and our employees."
A sixth grader is dead and others are injured after a shooting at an Iowa school. Now, authorities say the 17-year-old gunman is also dead. Michael George has the latest.
Police and emergency crews surrounded Perry High School, about 40 miles from Des Moines, early Thursday morning, responding to reports of an active shooter.
An officer first arrived within 7 minutes of that activation and located multiple gunshot victims.
Two law enforcement sources tell CBS News the shooting suspect, who's described as being born in 2006, is dead. The incident occurred just as students were returning to school for the first time since holiday break.
School didn't start yet, luckily, so there was very few students and faculty in the building, which I think contributed to a good outcome in that sense.
600 students attend Perry High School, which was put on lockdown at the time. The nearby middle school and elementary school, just a few blocks away, were quickly cleared. Residents say Perry is a close-knit community.
Everyone knows each other. You don't really expect anything like this to happen.
The FBI is on the scene and is helping in the investigation. Michael George, CBS News.
Back here at home, Honolulu police are searching for a man who either shot or threw an apparent pepper ball into a Nu'uanu 7-Eleven. It happened just after 3 yesterday afternoon. Customers and employees evacuated after a white powder-like substance was left behind on the floor. 3 people required medical attention at the scene.
Essentially, there were 2 males that entered the store, and as they exited, there was what the police said was pepper ball that was left in the store by the front. And immediately after, everyone in the store that was within pretty much the entire store started coughing, and shortly after had eye irritation.
HPD has opened an assault investigation but has not reported any arrests or released a suspect's description. The store reopened about 2 hours after the incident.
Police on Hawaii Island identified 43-year-old Garrett Kaleohano of Captain Cook as the man suspected of an apparent murder-suicide on New Year's Day. Investigators say his ex-girlfriend, 42-year-old Elizabeth Fernandez, was shot and killed in her Kealakekua home. They say Kaleohano died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. On Oahu, police are looking for a male driver who they say chased after, then intentionally crashed into a 50-year-old moped rider in Makiki, leaving him in serious condition. It happened at around 2:30 yesterday morning on Kina'u Street near Ke'aomoku. Police say the two are acquaintances. The driver could face an attempted murder charge.
Now to some sad news. Angus Mitchell, the son of the late hairstylist Paul Mitchell, was found dead at his Honolulu home on Wednesday, according to multiple reports. Honolulu police confirmed a death at a swimming pool at the address, but did not release his name or cause of death. Artist Kim Taylor-Reese told Hawaii News Now he was at a house party with Mitchell a few nights ago. He said Mitchell was a gracious teacher and will be remembered for his love, kindness, and generosity. Angus Mitchell was the co-owner of his father's company, John Paul Mitchell Systems. He was 53 years old. And in news out of Texas, there's an update on a murder mystery in San Antonio that left a pregnant teen and her boyfriend dead. San Antonio police arrested a teen and his father Wednesday in connection to the deaths of 18-year-old Savannah Soto and 22-year-old Matthew Guerrera. 19-year-old Christopher Preciado is accused of killing the couple during a drug deal gone wrong. A judge set $1 million bond for him during a hearing Thursday, while his dad, Ramon Preciado, is accused of trying to get rid of the bodies in a parked car. His bond is $100,000. Last week, police released surveillance video to the public asking for help in identifying 2 suspects. The bodies of Soto and Guerrera were found in a car parked near an apartment complex last month.
Turning now to never-before-seen court documents related to the case against Jeffrey Epstein. Hundreds of pages were unsealed from the civil suit involving Epstein's accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. Nancy Chen has the latest.
Former President Bill Clinton and Britain's Prince Andrew are 2 of Jeffrey Epstein's most high-profile associates, publicly named in the more than 900 pages of mostly unredacted documents released Wednesday. In a 2016 deposition that wasn't unsealed until yesterday, accuser Johanna Schoberg says she was with Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Virginia Giuffre in 2001 when she met Prince Andrew at the millionaire's Manhattan home. She told attorneys that when they were taking a photo, I sat on Andrew's lap and Andrew put his hand on my breast. Giuffre previously said she was forced by Maxwell and Epstein to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17. He denied those allegations and told the BBC in 2019 that he didn't know Giuffre.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
They settled a lawsuit out of court in 2022. While the documents help flesh out what many have known about Epstein for years, it is unlikely that the revealed names will lead to more legal action. For example, later in her deposition, Schoberg discussed former President Bill Clinton. She did not accuse him of any wrongdoing, but said that Epstein told her one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. Schoberg also said she had dinner with magician David Copperfield, who was not accused of any wrongdoing, at Epstein's home. She said the star asked her if I was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls, but testified he told her no specifics about that. Also included in the documents are new details about former Epstein employee Sarah Kellen. Throughout the court records, she's alleged to have directed payments to certain women, scheduled massages for Epstein, and met with alleged victims at his home.
CBS News has reached out to Prince Andrew and Sarah Kellen about the allegations in these documents, and to Bill Clinton and David Copperfield. We have not yet heard back, but Buckingham Palace previously told the BBC Showbrook's accusations that Prince Andrew groped her were, quote, categorically untrue. In 2019, the former president's spokesperson said Clinton knew nothing about Epstein's crimes. And in 2020, a representative for Sarah Kellen told CBS News that Kellen herself was a victim of Epstein. She knows the pain he caused and deeply regrets having any part in it. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Our Sunrise team is on the road this week, and they caught up with Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson. He spoke a little bit about the economic benefits of the Century happening there on Maui this week.
The PGA's Century, the players themselves, it's been a nice outpouring, right?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of players, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Ricky Fowler, in particular, all put together fundraising efforts to help our community. Over 20 nonprofits have been helped, including Lahaina Luna Junior Golf. So a lot of the players that have helped out the golfing community and the community at large.
Yeah, Colin, by the way, has something very special planned for this weekend. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But Mayor, while we're here, you have a new head of the Maui Emergency Management Agency. Yeah. What can you tell us about Amos, what he brings to the table, and your confidence in him to keep people safe?
Yeah, Amos Hewitt, quality guy. We had 15 people apply. We then went through a very rigorous program that narrowed it down to 5 of them, then the 3 finalists, and then we met with them. And Amos, he's got 25 years of experience, a lot of training experience here on Maui, retired as a battalion chief. So lots of experience with emergencies. And again, based on the applicants, he was the right person for the job. We couldn't be more excited to have him start.
Yeah, and with him in place and with the lessons learned, hopefully, how confident are you that something like this doesn't happen again, or that when it does, the response will be better?
Yeah, so, in emergency preparation, what you learn and what I've learned through this is, of course, the preparation is key, the response is key, and then any mitigation efforts to mitigate that. And that's what we're working on, and that's what I think Amos brings to the table.
Yeah, Guy and I, we mentioned a little while ago, we talked to a couple of firefighters, a couple with their 2 children, and they mentioned it's kind of nice to just have people back in town on top of everything else that the Century has brought to the table as well. But that aspect of things, kind of a little return to normalcy, how much does this help with that?
It's all about balance. It's all about balance. There are a lot of benefits that the Century Tournament brings to Maui, and again, especially our nonprofit community. So the charitable part of it far exceeds, again, that change that some people have experienced, of course. But you mentioned the word normalcy. That's, of course, what we're trying to get to as well. A lot of volunteers look forward to this event like they did to the Maui Invitational. And again, it's just a different setup, different location. So I feel comfortable that we were able to have this come back and experience some of the economic benefits.
A big win for the city in a legal battle over homeless enforcement. A court has denied the ACLU's request for an injunction, meaning the city can continue sidewalk sweeps and park clearings. Judge John Tonaki said the disruptions to homeless people do not equate to outrageous or shocking punishment rising to the level of a constitutional violation. He said the rules are reasonable and that putting homeless people in shelters does not cause them irreparable damage, but in fact helps them.
Today's court decision strikes the perfect balance between our efforts to resolve our homeless issues and the rights of our residents to safe and equal access to public spaces free of obstruction and personal effects.
It's unclear if the ACLU will continue with its lawsuit, which is set to be heard in the fall.
A delay in propane deliveries is causing extra problems on Hawaii Island. Our Ben Gutierrez takes a look at what's going on there.
It's a statewide shortage, but it's especially inconvenient on the island of Hawaii, where propane fuels hospitals and restaurants and many residents who aren't on an electrical grid. Some businesses say they were taken by surprise when the supply suddenly came up short.
We had a full house. I mean, we had a 2-hour long wait for people to get into the restaurant. We had 75 diners eating, and about 5:30 in the afternoon, I get a text from my manager saying, we just ran out of gas in the restaurant.
Lisa Van is talking about New Year's Eve when her Waimea restaurant, The Fish and the Hog, suddenly didn't have enough of the fuel to cook its beef and ribs.
We're a barbecue restaurant, so we have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of beef and pork and ribs and also fish, being in Hawaii, and we didn't know what we were going to have to do with everything.
She says they closed 3 hours early on Sunday and had to turn away waiting customers. The gas company later provided the restaurant a 4-day supply, so Van wouldn't have to lay off her 45-person staff. Meanwhile, in Hilo, Kai Store's big propane tank ran empty last Friday, just before the New Year's holiday weekend, when propane is in high demand for backyard barbecues. Owner Paul Kai has been on the phone with anxious residents who also miss their hot showers.
Customers been calling. A lot of them are desperate in need for propane for their own personal homes and businesses, especially in Hawaii Island where a lot of the families live off-grid. Their need for propane is a little higher.
Hawaii Gas didn't say exactly what caused the shipping delay, but that it's curtailed deliveries for some wholesale customers so that emergency services, critical care facilities, and public health and utility customers have an uninterrupted supply of propane. And it's given partial refills to customers like the Fish and the Hog.
We might have to close a little bit earlier just to make that gas stretch so we can continue out through the week. But we're going to look at that gauge every day and see how much we used and what we need to save to see us into next week.
This is at least the third propane shortage affecting the island of Hawaii in the last year. Last summer, customers went for 2 weeks without the gas because of a Teamsters strike. Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
We'll have your full forecast in just a few minutes, but first, our Drew Davis has a first alert on some potential severe weather coming our way.
You should probably get ready for some heavy rainfall next Monday and Tuesday. As of the recording of this video on Wednesday, January 3rd, there is a strong high-pressure system off to our northeast, which is driving southeasterly winds our way and inhibiting the chance for rain. That all is going to change as a cold front approaches from the northwest. The cold front won't arrive until late Sunday evening at the earliest, but we're already tracking heavy rainfall for this upcoming Monday and Tuesday. Let's talk about it. So first, a weak upper-level low-pressure system is going to arrive on Friday and Saturday, increasing the chance for windward and Melka showers during the first half of this weekend, and cold upper-level air is going to move in with this system as well, increasing the chance for snowfall on Big Island summits. And then the cold front is going to arrive, and we're expecting southerly winds ahead of the cold front's arrival on Sunday and Monday. And if you know anything about Kona winds, you know that they come in from the south, bring a lot of humidity, and it gets very, very muggy here on Hawaii. The reason for that is the southerly winds are bringing in moisture from the equator, and that's going to happen ahead of this cold front. Moist southerly winds will push the moisture northward, which will eventually ride on top of the cold air of the approaching front. Warm air rises. And you know, what goes up must come down. All of that moisture is going to fall on Hawaii on Monday and Tuesday. There's still some timing details we need to figure out, but for right now, I want you to expect to see heavy rainfall on Monday and Tuesday.
Thank you for that explainer, Drew Davis. All right, let's take a live look outside. You're looking at Lady Liberty over there in New York, where the temperature is a chilly 38 degrees. As Dylan said, we're going to have your full forecast with Billy V coming up after this quick break.
Thank you very much. Here we go in the midday here of your Thursday. Let's look at the surf first. 50 to 20 and a high surf advisory in effect for the north and west facing shores of most Hawaiian Islands. That's going to be from Niihau all the way through Molokai and the north shore of Maui. 1 to 3 small over in the town spots. 4 to 6, that's mostly a trade wind swell over on the east side. And as those winds pick up, it's going to be kind of sloppy out there. Thursday, Friday, that's today and tomorrow. Box jellyfish in the water. Saturday, almost gone, but Sunday and Monday, the wind's going to be better days when there's going to be no box jellyfish on those south-facing shorelines. Let's take a look at today's forecast. Partly cloudy skies. Windward and mountain showers, of course. East-southeasterly winds blowing 10 to 20 miles per hour. And as we put that into the 7-day forecast, you can see that today's forecast is good for tomorrow and Saturday. But Sunday is when things to change. We're going to have a transition weather day as a cold front approaches the islands. It's going to pull up deep tropical moisture from the south. And so that's going to mean gusty winds, possibly heavy rainfall. There's also a chance that we may see some snow over on Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa as we go Friday into Saturday. So once again, we are watching these carefully. Monday and Tuesday are your wet days. We're watching it carefully here on your First Alert weather station.
Well, Americans ramped up their online spending during the holiday season. Adobe Analytics says they splurged on a record-setting $222 billion worth of electronics, toys, and other items. It says that spending haul between November 1st and December 31st marks a nearly 5% increase from the previous holiday shopping season. Adobe says shoppers were enticed by deep discounts as well as buy now, pay later options. The findings add to evidence that Americans are still spending aggressively despite telling pollsters they don't like this economy.
A surprising and valuable discovery was made at the site of a housing building project in Virginia. Nick Broadway has the story.
Henson showed us the plot of land where the shed once stood before his friend tore the property down to build a new home.
I just kind of glanced in it and I saw some yard equipment. So I said, let me see if there's anything worthwhile. We found weed eaters, 20 suitcases, looked like they were packed yesterday. And ain't nobody in this house for 2 years. And then I'm starting looking around and I find this thing. I said, whoa, I like that.
And he's pulling out all these things and Johnny's kind of got us amazed by everything. So it was just a beautiful find.
So I set it on my daughter's house over in Hayes. 6 or 8 days later, she calls me up and says, Dad, get this piece of junk off my porch.
While finding in a place that's more out of sight and out of mind, Henson noticed something carved on the top.
Frederick Hurton Reed, 1902.
Reed was a well-known potter, celebrated for his intricate ceramic art. Thinking he might have accidentally dug up treasure, Henson went digging for info. He spoke with staff at the Museum of Ceramics in Liverpool, Ohio. They told him this is a credible find, and it appears to be part of a larger ceramic piece.
And I assume you set the vase on there, and we have no clue where it's at. And so, does the vase look like this? We don't know.
This 4-tile piece made by Reed sold for more than $600,000 a few years ago. Another vase of his sold for $500,000. Who knows the value of this pedestal, found in a shed full of junk?
Whoever got this, I'm not sure they knew what they had, and they stuck it in a building.
Multiple art publications and auction houses reached out to him since, including National Shelley China Club and Koval's Antique Trader magazine. Henson says he's still thinking about the end goal for where he wants this to wind up. He just hopes it finds a good home.
Any guesses as to what you think it is?
I don't. Oh, it's it's going to hold something at the top.
I assume it looks like a bird bath, like the pedestal to a bird bath.
Sure.
The top looked pretty concave for a lovely, as he said, vase at the top. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe it's a bird bath.
That's a good guess. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. How much would you pay for it?
Oh, me? Well, I don't know.
Lucky he just found it.
$500,000.
Yeah, that, I mean, if money was no object, maybe. Right. But beautiful works of art. If anyone has any junk they want us to go through, let us know, and we just might find finders keepers. All right. We got one more good story for you now. Ash, what you got?
That's right. So if you go for a walk around Washington D.C.'s National Mall right now, you may ask yourself, what season is it again? And that's because the cherry blossoms there are in bloom. So the pink and white blooms draw more than 1 million people to the district in the spring. But the National Park Service says this winter bloom is completely normal. Officials say there are autumn flowering cherry trees that bloom during warm periods of the winter and fall months. And if you miss them right now, don't worry. They're going to bloom again in the spring.
Now, Ash, you've spent a lot of time in D.C.
Oh,
and you've seen these. But have you seen them during the winter?
I have not seen them during the winter, which is, I mean, I guess it's only like a couple dozen trees, the National Park Service was saying. But during the spring, it's, if you can't make it to Japan, DC is just as great.
I have yet to experience any cherry blossom. Well, actually, no, I stand corrected. I saw the ones in Waimea on Hawaii Island. They have a cherry blossom festival there, but none like in DC or Japan. Speaking of Waimea, Hawaii Island, let's take you out to Hilo. Over there on the Big Island. Some cloudy conditions. It's about 73 degrees right there. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of This Is Now. We hope your 2024 is off to a great start.